Welcome to Cruise Kibitz, where we give you all the advice that you didn't ask for.
Hey. welcome, everybody. Welcome one, welcome all. Welcome to today's podcast. So I am Cheryl, also known as SIGCruiser.
I'm KeKe from Team Reese Travels.
And I am Charvon from Parker's on the Go.
And together we are known as Cruise Kibitz. All right, guys, you're welcome to jump back into it. You ready?
I'm ready.
Stay ready.
Good now.
All right. It's been a long time coming, but let's get back to it. All right. So for today's topic, I thought that maybe we could talk about the mistakes of first-time cruisers. You got some ideas of what those could be?
Not too many.
Too many. All right. I would say, we've been gone a long time, so without further ado, let's just jump right into it. All right. So we'll start with you, KeKe. So what would you suggest as a mistake, or what do you think is a mistake of first-time cruisers?
So here's one that I would throw out there, and it kind of starts before the cruise even starts, right? But overpacking. Now I know y'all probably all looking at me like pot, kettle, but hear me out. I do pack a lot of things. So here's the thing. I pack for who you are. Don't go and just throw a bunch of extra stuff in there just because somebody else said you'll probably need that. I take the things that I know that I will need. I'm not a minimalist at home. I use a lot of stuff every day. And so I take the things that I know are going to make me comfortable and feel like I'm at home. I want to feel like I'm home when I'm on the ship. I want to feel like I live there, like I ain't got to go home. But so I take the things. What you say, Charvon?
I've seen it.
I do. Yeah, I literally, my stuff be laid out like I'm at home. But my advice would be to just, don't throw a bunch of extra things into your bag just because it seems like it would be nice to have. Take the things that you know that you will need and leave it at that. Because everything you take on that ship, you got to drag back off. And I guarantee you, when you walking on the ship, you happy and you excited and you ready to go. And this embarkation day, when you got to get off that ship and find all them bags, baby, you ain't in the best of moods at that point. It's not as good of an experience. So just, take things that you need. And that's it.
So wait, do you agree with that, Charvon?
I agree with it because not only have I seen it, but I am slowly turning into KeKe. I think I've been around her a little bit too long. I'm packing clothes that I don't even wear. But to her defense, she has gotten me to dress a little more snazzy when I go to dinner because I want to be like her. So it tends to lead to having more things on your luggage, but just be cautious of what you're doing because now that I know I'm trying to change a little bit about how I'm dressing when I'm like going to dinner, while I pack, I actually try stuff on and see if I actually like it, and then I put it in my bags. I'm trying to figure out a way to stop overpacking instead of just throwing everything in my bag and then moving on. So,
all right. So, I've only sailed with KeKe once, so now you have me fearful because I am the minimalist. So I'm the minimalist at home, and when packing, I'm team carry-on. So even for a 7-8 day cruise, if I can't pack it now, I have a carry-on plus an extra bag, so it's almost like 2 carry-ons. So if it can't fit in those 2, I'm not packing it. And plus, I'm not like a fashionista and, like having different. Now, I have gotten to the point where, I definitely need a minimum of 2 outfits a day because, it's like once you're out in the sun and, it's hot all day, you come back, you want to take a shower and get into something different or clothing. But I always make sure that it's light, something light, something, small, and I can, just put it in, my carry-on. But still, even with that, I still sometimes manage to overpack because I have clothes that I didn't wear. So So I agree with you, KeKe. You know, not overpacking, because like you said, yeah, you got to lug all that stuff, and it's different when you're coming onto the ship, but then when you're leaving the ship and you got to pack all that stuff up. You know, it's not as neatly packed as when you came. You know, and then you're bringing extra stuff
Yes.
like souvenirs or things you may purchase, the liquor you may purchase. So yeah.
Yeah. And Cheryl, I know that you probably thought I had a lot of stuff on that cruise. Just keep in mind that was a 3-day cruise. So it's usually about twice as much.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
Yeah.
right.
That was
That
only
was
3 days.
great.
Yeah. A
Oh,
7 day
geez.
cruise.
Oh my goodness.
Whew, yeah.
Oh, Lord.
But I wear it all. I wear everything I take. I make sure I wear it all.
She does. She does. She justifies bringing her clothes.
Okay.
I can admit to that. She does.
Okay. All right. So, Charvon, let's move on to you. So, what do you think is a mistake of first-time cruisers?
Booking the wrong cabin.
Mm.
It is a mistake that I have made myself. We have booked just taking anything, and sometimes you take that risk with a guaranteed cabin, and sometimes you just think you know what you're doing, and you book a cabin, and it has taught me to learn to look at the ship maps. On our Carnival Magic cruise, we booked a cabin, and it ended up being directly over the theater. And on that particular sailing, I have no idea why, they decided to play midnight bingo. And we were in the bed. And it's like we were sleeping on top of the speakers. Everything that was happening in the theater was actually coming through the floor. So, not actually booking the proper cabin, not looking at the ship map, not just making sure, if you are a light sleeper like I tend to be, booking the wrong cabin can be detrimental to your trip, because if you're not asleep, you're not happy. So even if you use a travel agent, please just make sure you let them know what your preferences are, and what type of sleeper you are, if it makes a difference for you, so you can make sure you get the right cabin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a fun shift. Charvon, you weren't supposed to be asleep at midnight.
Tell my big girl age that, because she like, listen, you not 20 in the club no more, girl. You it's time to go night.
So, KeKe, have you ever booked the wrong cabin?
I have. And it turned out to, still work out well. But I love balcony cabins. My whole family loves balcony cabins. And one time we ended up we were on a Disney ship, and it's called a navigator balcony. And we didn't realize that. We knew that it was a balcony room, but didn't realize it was a navigator balcony, which basically is like the cove balconies that's kind of has a bit of an enclosure in front of you. So it's not like the full clear front of a balcony where you can kind of see everything. It's more of a window in a balcony area. So that's different from what we were used to. Now, a cabin on a Disney ship is a cabin on a Disney ship. So it didn't make much of a difference, but it wasn't what we expected. So, yeah, that's the only thing. Nothing terrible came of it. Not like Charvon having to sleep on top of speakers. So.
Yeah, and for me, really honestly, I can't think of, a bad cabin that I've had, or a cabin that really turned me off, or I've had a negative experience. But coming up in November, I booked MSC on my first guaranteed cabin, because I just wanted to experience what that's like. Plus, it was cheap. So, we'll see. Maybe I'll have an update to this input for mistakes. So we'll see. But, all right.
That's next month. No.
All right. So I'm going to talk about, what I think is a mistake of first-time cruisers is, even if you use a travel agent, not researching and checking out the ship or your options ahead of time, especially like entertainment, your dining options, because I've heard of, people getting on the ship for the first time, and yeah, everything's included, but they didn't know that, this specialty dining, they could have tried it out for an additional charge. They get on the ship and now it's all sold out. Or, maybe they get on the ship and find out they needed to reserve, these activities ahead of time, and they didn't know, of course, the travel agent should be telling them if they, got a travel agent. But if they're booking on their own, maybe they didn't know that, and they find out, once they get on the ship, and then all the reservations gone, they're doing standby or, things like that. So, yeah, so I think researching ahead of time, that could be a mistake. So, what do you guys think? What do you think, KeKe?
100% agree. And I have learned that one the hard way.
Oh,
Sometimes actually, like, yeah, like my very first cruise, I didn't have to plan anything at all. My family planned the cruise. All I had to do was pay my money and get on the ship. They took care of everything. Well, I didn't know that there were specialty dining options. I didn't find that out till after I got back from that cruise. Um, and I came out of that cruise with a lot of assumptions, right? Because I didn't do any research for that cruise, it was all just kind of handed to me. I went into my second cruise thinking that it would be exactly like my first, and it ended up being a much different ship from the first one. A lot of the things that I had fallen in love with on my first cruise were not present on this ship that I had booked my second one on. And then by the time I booked my third one, I was just like, okay, these ships obviously have a wide range of variability in what's available. Let me actually do some planning and research and not just book something and go with it. So yeah,
Yes.
by the time I got to cruise number 3, I was like, yeah, we're gonna have to put a little bit more work into researching the ships that we go on.
I think that's a good point. A cruise is not a cruise, meaning that all cruises aren't the same. All ships aren't the same. They different, vary across cruise lines and even across ships. So research is important. What do you think, Charvon?
Oh, first of all, y'all know we don't plan nothing.
Oh, that's right. That
We
is
just blow in the wind and we're on a ship, right? So we have done it, of course. I think the first time we realized that we made a mistake was when we were on the Wonder of the Seas. And we wanted to try the specialty dining. And when we got on board, we tried to like book it. And everybody had already picked all their specialty dining ahead of time. So there were no reservations for anything. And we just had to keep checking back throughout the cruise. And then we ended up taking one just so we could try one of the specialty restaurants. But it was during an awkward time. It was super early. I think it was at like 5 o'clock on one of like the major days of the sailing. I think it was on formal night. So we had to take it because that was the only time we would be able to experience that particular dining. So we missed out on things because we did not plan ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And we still didn't learn from it. But that particular sailing, we
And I completely agree because, as you know, like I've sailed Carnival mostly. And on Carnival, you don't have to make reservations. So now this year was the first year that, I've tried different ships, different cruise lines. And on all of those cruise lines, you have to make reservations ahead of time, something I am totally not used to. So if for Wonder of the Seas, what saved me was the two of you because you were booking and making reservations and we were all in the loop. So that's the only reason why I was able to get in on planned activities ahead of time. On my Virgin and what was the last one? Oh, the Celebrity, where we had to, book ahead of time. I mean, I missed it. So I'm getting on the ship and it's like I'm only doing what's left or nothing at all because I didn't book anything, in advance. So I didn't do my research ahead of time. So yeah, it can definitely make a difference in your experience. So
Yeah, Cheryl was getting on Wonder like, I did this 21 times with Carnival. I know what I'm doing. I don't need to research nothing.
Totally different ship, totally different. Like, what? I can't just get in line and go in? What are you talking about?
even but the pizza was a process for you, right?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah. The pizza, yeah, that was a process because now when I first got there, it was like when I was new to it, the first day, the guy was saying, hey, yeah, just come up here and, you can order your gluten-free pizza. And he took my order and, I just went and sat down. Well, the second time there was a long line and he's like, no, I can't, take your order ahead of time. So I would have to order, get in line, get up to the front, order, and then wait. So that would have been like an hour-long process. So I was starving. So that was, a totally different experience from Carnival. I can just go place my order, get in line, or just wait. So it's like different ships have, different requirements. So you gotta know. Yeah. All right. Okay, so let's go to the second round. We'll go with you this time, Charvon. What's another mistake that you think first-time cruisers can make?
Well, I might as well keep on with my theme of not. So, not researching the ports. Our very first cruise, I was just excited to be able to get on the cruise. So, even after I watched all the YouTube videos, including yours, Cheryl, even after I watched all the YouTube videos, I was still excited just to get on the ship, and I did not think about researching the port of calls. So we were totally lost at what to do when we got to our first port, which was Nassau. And first time being at Nassau, first time on a cruise, and you're just getting overwhelmed and bombarded with all the things that's happening. Everybody's offering you everything, and you not knowing if you're able to even trust it. So it was like, I don't know what I did to deserve this. And we kind of just stood there, and it was the tour that was coming. We saw a group of people from the ship, and they just took a tour, and we just happened to jump on the tour with them. It was like, okay, at least if they take us, they're taking all of us. They're not just taking it. But we ended up having a good time, and I was like, I really think next time I will make sure I know what I'm doing before I actually go off. Even if we don't book anything ahead of time, at least have an idea of some of the options that we could do, because you don't want to feel like it's a waste of a port day. You don't want to feel like you didn't do what you could have done anything, but you just stood at the port kind of looking inside of the gate instead of leaving outside and exploring everything that there is to offer.
Yeah. So what about you, KeKe? Do you do a lot of research before on the ports before you go?
I wouldn't say I do a whole lot of research. I do always look and see what excursions are available, and kind of decide if we want to do this excursion and choose from the ones that the cruise ship offers. And if we don't see any that the cruise ship offers, then I will start to like research, okay, well, what's available outside of what the cruise is offering? Where is there to go if we just decide we want to get off the ship and walk around and explore? What's close? Are there safe areas that we can go to that, I want to make sure that we're making the right moves and not venturing off into the wrong areas too. So I kind of like to research that if we decide that we're not going to do a ship excursion, which y'all know that's rare. But yeah, we do.
Okay.
I took her on a ship, one of my off-ship excursions, and we went and got some wings, and it was a good time.
It was a real good time. It was fun. I wasn't used to it. I'm used to just, hey, Carnival said meet at the theater at 9 o'clock. So we don't meet down there.
Now, I would say as a solo cruiser, I do, mostly like the ship excursions. And as far as research, I would say like I only research like the excursions, but now that I'm cruising more, I feel like I missed out on researching the actual location that I'm going to. I think I'm getting more into like, different lifestyles, different cultures. So I want to find out more about that, of the locations that I'm traveling to. So now I'm trying to get into more of, research about, the culture, the traditions of, the places that I'm going, to try to line up excursions that will help me to explore that a little bit more or see a little bit more of that. So So yeah, I think the research thing is important no matter what you want to do. So
Yeah.
yeah. So KeKe, what's another mistake that you think first time cruises make?
So travel insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's not one that I wouldn't say I've made the mistake and it cost me anything. Like I've definitely, took the risk and not had it before.
Uh-huh.
And what has happened though is I'm nervous. My nerves are up. If I know I didn't have travel insurance and I'm nervous leading up to it, like Lord, please don't let nothing happen that I have to cancel this cruise. Lord, please. And when I'm on it, I'm like, I got to be careful what I do. I got to pick my excursions wisely because I cannot get hurt. I ain't got no insurance over here in this country. Like that kind of stuff is heavy on my mind if I know that I didn't buy the insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say it's a really good peace of mind just to have it.
Yeah.
I don't go through the cruise lines most of the time for it. I usually go through like an Allianz or something like that to get it.
Mm-hmm.
But just have something that I've been on a cruise before where somebody that was with me broke their leg,
Yeah.
and it's expensive to
Yeah.
get any kind of medical treatment on the ship. I don't know what it costs to get it in other countries. I assume it might be expensive too, especially if you're not from there. But it's just worth it to have a little bit of peace of mind and to know if something does happen to me, even if I have to shell out a lot of money, I'm going to get it back because I took the extra step to
Yeah.
get it.
Now, Siobhan, I want you to answer that. I mean, I want you to respond to that, but I already have a follow-up question for you. But what's your thoughts on the cruise insurance before I give my follow-up question?
So I 100% agree with the travel insurance. I agree with insurance in general because y'all know that's my past life. But
Mm-hmm.
travel insurance is definitely a must. When I did my last group cruise, one of the members of my family actually fell, hit their head, and broke
Oh,
teeth
Oh my
oh
gosh.
goodness.
and had to go to medical. And when I tell you it was nerve wracking, but I felt, and it almost got to the point my nerves were so bad, even though I knew I did it because that's my speech to everybody. And that was their first cruise also. So that will also made me nervous. I knew I booked them with the travel insurance, but I was still so frazzled by it happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, did I book them with travel insurance? Did I book, I started questioning myself. But it's like KeKe said, it's the worry of if something happens,
Mm-hmm.
what would I do if I did not have it? And luckily they had it because I made sure they had it, but it was still nothing has ever happened to us on a cruise like that before. So when it happened, I was just like, okay, I just got to make sure that they're taken care of because of course I want everybody to have a great time and love cruising the way I did. And
Mm-hmm.
thank God it did not like deter them from liking cruising. Like they're ready to cruise again, but it's still something that could happen that makes you completely nervous and
Yeah.
yeah, yes.
Mm-hmm. All right, so my follow-up question. All right, so recently, I've become a travel agent, and I know you've been a travel agent for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the things that I'm experiencing, so this might be a little therapy session, travel agent therapy session.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm experiencing, offering or telling first time cruisers or new cruisers the importance of travel insurance. And especially my older, cruisers, and they don't want to purchase it because it's an extra expense and it makes me cringe. But, I know that's our job to tell them. It's up to them to whether they want to select it or not. But what do you do? How does that make you feel? Do you have that where people, you're telling them the importance of travel insurance and they decline? So does that happen? And if so, what do you do? Or how does that make you feel?
I am so used to it just from being an insurance agent altogether. It's the things that you tell people and try to prepare them for that they do not care about listening for. Um, you know, I've gotten into the space where because I have been doing the insurance part of it so long, the one thing that you always do is tell them the worst case scenario, even if it's not one of your clients, KeKe
Mm-hmm.
just told the story. I just told the story about things that happen and explain to them you don't ever go in with the intention of things happening, but things can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a story of something that's happened to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So you always try to express to them. If they choose not to get it, you gotta kiss it up and let it go. But because that's all you can do. You can't make people do what they don't want. But I always go to you insure your phone, right?
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
You insure your laptop, you insure your house,
Mm-hmm.
insure your life, insure your space. Because at the end of the day, anything can happen when you're on a cruise.
Mm-hmm.
We just went through a huge pandemic, and one of the things that people always ask about is what if something like that happens and the travel insurance does not protect it? Well, there's many different levels of travel insurance. You don't have to just stick with a cruise line. So
Mm-hmm.
I could go on about it because that's my past life. But for the major sticking points, I will just tell you is just always make sure somebody has a story, and the story is always going to pertain to what they're trying to do. So make sure you express to them that story.
Mhm.
Protect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Cheryl, you know what your question remind me of?
What's that?
I remember like when you was a little kid and your mom be like, "Don't touch the stove. Don't touch the stove. It's hot. Don't touch the stove. It's hot." You ain't gonna know until you touch that stove and you find out it's hot for yourself.
It
Cause
don't
I
take but
the
one
one
time to touch the
time, the
stove.
one time, the one time you got to put that insurance to use and you ain't got no insurance to put to use.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
guess you ain't feeling without it no more.
yeah. My husband touched the stove recently.
Oh,
Uh,
say it ain't so, Brandon. Say it ain't so.
my own husband touched the stove recently, and yeah, he got burned. So needless to say, he's not touching the stove anymore because we all remember when we spent 4 days in Newark.
Yeah.
No travel insurance,
No insurance.
but
Oh.
I didn't book any of that travel. I did not book any of the flights, so we were covered as far as the cruise is concerned. But we
Uh,
booked those flights, so I did my
oh,
job.
oh goodness. And
All
for
right.
me, I would say, it didn't take me to have to touch the stove in order to find out. I always booked travel insurance, from day one, when I started cruising. So and I've had to use it, but on minor things like my bags being lost or delayed or something like that. So just minor things, but it's just like you said, KeKe, it's just peace of mind.
Hmm.
Mhm.
It's like I can, to me, cruise more easily or be less, worried about things that could happen. So.
Yeah. Even with something like that you say is minor, like
Mhm.
it's an inconvenience to your cruise. I'm on vacation and I don't have none of my clothes. None of
Yeah.
this stuff. Now y'all know I got a lot of stuff. All my stuff gone. But maybe I can chew on that a little bit easier if I knew I was gonna get a little chunk of change back for what I spent on this vacation because I had some insurance for it, right? So
All right, ladies. So we shared a couple each. Now, is there anything else that you want to share, KeKe, about maybe first time mistakes?
whew, let me think. Let me think. Well, as somebody that suffers from motion sickness when I get on cruises sometimes, I've never made this mistake. I always have some kind of motion sickness meds with me, but I would just encourage everybody to have that with you. That's not, it don't take up a lot of space. It's easy to grab some from, it's way
Mhm.
cheaper to grab some from, Family Dollar than it is going to be to get some on the ship. So I would just say have it with you. It is a awful feeling to be on vacation and be so sick that you can't even enjoy yourself.
Mhm.
Having something already on hand that you can kind of take either to like preventative or when as soon as you feel it coming on, you can kind of, heat it off with some medicine. It's good to be able to do that because being at a point where all you can do is go lay in the bed and you only got 4 or 5, 6 days on that ship and you got to spend one of them laying in the bed all day, not a good feeling.
Yeah, agreed. Have you had a problem with motion sickness, Siobhan?
I think the only time I had a problem with it was on the Celebration. And it was just one day, I don't know, it was something about that ship, and it was just, it was getting up the road or the sea, apparently. And I just got to the point where I just could not gather myself, and I had to take a minute. And I've never had to really deal with motion sickness, but I always used to carry C-bands, and I thought, hey, I've never got motion sickness before, so I stopped bringing them with me, and that was the very time that I needed it. So it's always better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think, and from the beginning, I've never experienced motion sickness except for once on the ship. And I remember there was a storm going on and something, and the ship was really, really rocking. And usually, even if the ship is rocking, I actually like that because I love the motion. But for this particular cruise, I was starting to get seasick, and I was like, whoa, what is this? Because it's like after so many cruises, I never experienced it before, and I didn't have anything with me. Now, and I kind of wonder because they say that ginger is something that helps with seasickness, and I happen to take, just daily in my life, ginger extract. So I don't know if that's why I never experienced, seasickness on a cruise, and if that for that time I wasn't taking it, I don't know. But yeah, I said from now on I'm going to have something just in case, even though I don't tend to get seasick. So I agree with you. So all right. Anything, Charvon, anything else that you want to add as a, mistake for first time cruisers?
The mustard drill is not optional. You're holding up my cruise.
Yes.
Just go to the mustard drill. Now, 90% of the time you can do it on your phone or in your stateroom on a TV. You don't even have to go and stand out on the deck anymore with 500 people. You can literally just open up your phone and do the mustard drill. Go to your muster station and say, hey, it's me, and be on about your way. Because when you don't do it, they shut everything down. You can't drink, you can't eat, you can't do anything. And they can't take off until you do the mustard drill. So just do the mustard drill.
And they're going to find you.
They're going to find you.
They're good, knock on the door, that phone call.
They'll take you to your own personal mustard drill that you have to do as well. So just do the mustard drill. It takes you 30 seconds of your time to do it.
Just get it over with.
Get it done. Hey, do like celebrity. They just shuffle you right through there as soon as you walk on.
Yeah. They send you straight to it, and I love that. The only ones that I wish would it is Disney. You have to go back to the old style mustard drill. And we just experienced on MSC, you literally sit in your cabin, everybody at the same time, watch it on your TV. And then you have to wait a couple minutes, and then they send you to your muster station to check in. So theirs is it's a little confusing too, but you know what? They still had the same calls. People didn't do the muster drill.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Don't be that person, y'all. Don't be that person.
Please don't.
Don't cruise. All right, and for me, I will say, first-time cruisers, do not forget to put your phone in airplane mode. Don't come home with roaming charges. Now, I've never had it happen to me, but I've heard horror stories about, people leaving their phone on, not putting it in airplane mode, and they come home to, a $3,000 bill, depending on, how long they've been cruising, and what they've been doing on their phone. So, so that's probably, I would say that's a mistake, and probably one of the first things they want to do when they get on a ship. What do you guys think?
I agree.
100%.
The very first thing. When we took that Canada cruise, the New England Canada cruise, and we were off the coast of New England, we were just like, we're still in the United States, and it's saying that we're not roaming. So we left it for like an hour, and then I got a notification: you have used up $100. No roaming, signal. No roaming. Usually your phone will tell you when you're roaming. I was looking for we were in, like, we were still safe. And it was just like, nope, you used up $100. I was like, wait, nope, airplane mode, we got it. So just because you think you are safe does not mean you are safe.
Have you ever had any experiences with that, KeKe?
Not like the big bills, not even $100. I have had when RJ was a baby, and he was on a cruise with us. I gave him my phone to play with, and he somehow got it out of roaming, and all of a sudden it rang, and I was like, "Oh, like, and I mean, one phone call was like $10.
Yes.
But that just goes to show how expensive it can be if you. I don't know how long it was off. I mean, how long it was off of airplane mode, but it was long enough for a call to come through, and I got a $10 charge. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, ladies, I think we shared a lot, and I think there's still a lot left on the table. I think we may want to consider a part 2 of this in the future. We'll see.
Yeah, let us know what y'all think. Do y'all think we need a part 2? Because I think it's still a lot left to say.
There's a lot left to cover.
All right, well, let's see. Well, Charvon, how about why don't you tell them, or if they have any additional questions that they have, and then if people want to find us, what can they do?
You can actually email us at Cruise Kibitz, Cruise KIBITZ @gmail.com, or you can follow us on Instagram, and you can comment on this video on YouTube.
All right. Well, ladies, I have 2 things left to say. First, I want to say welcome back.
I'm going out of practice. I got to get my spiel going back about how to talk like this. Yes.
And the second thing I want to say is, hey, I think we should call this a podcast.
Yes.
Call it a podcast.
All right, ladies. All right. Until next time, happy cruising.
Happy cruising.